So, Hare Krishna, everyone. Nice to meet you all again. My obeisance to all of you. Manchakalpataru Krishna, Pasantu Viyacha, Padithanam Bhavanayu, Vaishnavyu Namo. So, we'll start with the prayers of Srimad Bhagavatam and our prayers to our Acharyas, and then we'll read the verse from today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhatreshu Nityam Bhavat Sevaya Bhavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Ninth canto, 11th chapter, text number 23. Thank you, Mr. Hindu, for picking the verse topic. It's a nice topic. So the topic is envy, how is harmful for us, and then also there's the main theme coming out of the verse, and what is the cure for the envy? That is by glorifying Krishna through holy name and through Krishna Katha. So, 9th canto, 11th chapter, text number 23. 9, 11, 23. So, Purusho Ramacharitam Shravanay Upadharayan Anvisamsya Paro Rajan Karma Bande Vimuchate. Purusho Ramacharitam Shravanay Upadharayan Anvisamsya Paro Rajan Karma Bande Vimuchate. Purusho Ramacharitam Savanairupadharayan Anvisamsya Paro Rajan Karma Bande Vimuchate. One of you like to repeat? Share. Set.
Purusho Ramacharitam
Savanairupadharayan Anvisamsya Paro Rajan Karma Bande Vimuchate. Purusho Ramacharitam Savanairupadharayan Anvisamsya Paro Rajan Karma Bande Vimuchate. Purusho Ramacharitam Savanairupadharayan Anvisamsya Paro Rajan Karma Bande Vimuchate. Purusho Ramacharitam Savanairupadharayan
Anvisamsya Paro Rajan Karma Bande Vimuchate.
We'll read the word for word. Purushaha, any person. Ramacharitam, the narration concerning the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Ramachandra. Sravanai, by oral reception. Upadharayan, simply by this process of hearing. Anvisamsya Paraha, becomes completely free from envy. Rajan, O King Parikshit. Karma Bandhai, by the bondage of fruitive activities. Vimuchate, one becomes liberated. Okay, translation. Translation. O King Parishit, anyone who orally receives the narrations concerning the characteristics of Lord Ramachandra's pastimes will ultimately be freed from the disease of envy and thus be liberated from the bondage of fruitive activities. So you can repeat also after me. O King Parishit, anyone who orally receives the narrations concerning the characteristics of Lord Ramachandra's pastimes will ultimately be freed from the disease of envy and thus be liberated from the bondage of fruitive activities. We will read the purport. Here in this material world, everyone is envious of someone else. Even in religious life, it is sometimes found that if one devotee has advanced in spiritual activities, other devotees are envious of him. Such envious devotees are not completely freed from the bondage of birth and death. As long as one is not completely free from the cause of birth and death, one cannot enter the Sanatana Dharma, or the eternal pastimes of the Lord. One becomes envious because of being influenced by the destinations of the body. But the liberated devotee has nothing to do with the body and therefore is completely on the transcendental platform. A devotee is never envious of anyone, even his enemy, because the devotee knows that the Lord is his supreme protector. He thinks, what harm can the so-called enemy do? Thus the devotee is confident about his protection. The Lord says, Ye yatamam prapadyante tam stateva bhajamyaham. According to the proportion of one surrendered unto me, I respond accordingly. A devotee must therefore be completely free from envy, especially of other devotees. To envy other devotees is a great offense, a Vaishnava aparadha. A devotee who constantly engages in hearing and chanting, Savana Kirtana, is certainly free from the disease of envy. And thus he becomes eligible to go back home, back to Godhead. That's a wonderful short purport, but a wonderful purport by Prabhupada. He covered so many aspects in the purport. So the theme for today is the cure for the envy, the one they call it bad qualities that we want to get rid of. So I thought we'll talk about the three dimensions. What is envy and why it's bad and why do we need to work on it? And then third thing is how do we cure it? Many elements are already there in purport of Prabhupada already. So those are three dimensions we'll talk. So let us see. And then I'll hear from you, all of you also, your input, what you understand from your understanding also. So let me keep this aside. We'll come back to it. Okay, now even dictionary definitions of envy, but in simple form. So let us talk about what is envy. So envy, we hear in Bhagavad Gita, one of the six bad qualities that we have. Last, anger, greed, envy, illusion, and what is the last one? Pride. Yes, yeah. Those are six envies that we have. So the word used for envy is matsarya. Of course, there are different words. Envy can be in multiple categories as described. But a simple way to explain envy is that when we see others having something that we want, then we're not happy with it. There is a mildest way. Stronger way is we want to do something to get that, or we want to do something so that they don't have it. That is stronger ways of envy. And then other aspect of the same thing is envy is when others are suffering, we feel happy about it instead of we feeling bad for their suffering. Those are two dimensions of envy, how it shows up. So actually there's a Radhika Gopinath Prabhu is a devotee. He wrote a LinkedIn article some time ago. I think it was last month only, November. He wrote a LinkedIn article. He describes the different stages of envy actually. That's taken from Bhagavatam only. If people love start, I thought it's interesting how envy progresses like that. So he describes first stage is called Kala. That in this stage we're planning and executing destruction of other living entities. So starting stage. Next is Dvesha. Then it is very dangerous and affects our blood circulation. Basically, we hate the other person and create enmity for them in our minds. So first is we just want to do something bad for them. First. Second level is we actually hate them so much. We are always consumed with them in their own mind. How to do bad for them. Next is Asuya. This is a subtle envy. This envy makes us find faults in others always. That's a fault finding mentality. Or criticizing, another way we describe it. And then finally it's Matsara. This envy bites everyone like mosquito without any discrimination like that. This is a total envy. Like that he was describing. So I thought it's nice to see that progression of envy like that. So now, other things about is how is the envy coming? So in Bhagavad Gita, we hear Srimad Bhagavata verse that talks about how Sangha, when you develop attachment for material objects, lust develops. From lust, or the progression described, lust, anger comes. From anger, delusion comes. Delusion also greed, other meaning. And then from delusion, illusion comes. That means bewilderment completely. And then from that, intelligence is destroyed, lost completely. So this final stage is actually equivalent to envy, basically. So in other words, each of these stages have previous stage inside it. For example, anger, when we are getting anger, lust is part of it. Because from lust, remember material attachment, lust, anger, greed, like that we discussed, right? Illusion. So each of the stage has the previous things inside. So anger has lust in it. And then similarly, next stage of bewilderment or illusion has lust and greed in it. Like that, final stage of madness where intelligence is lost, that is like enviousness, that has all the previous components of it, which is madness, illusion, greed, anger, and lust. So that's why envy, when it's described, is more dangerous quality than anything else we can see like that. It's all encompassing one sense, all these bad qualities like that. So other way described is our envy towards others is manifesting because of our original envy towards Krishna. That we want to enjoy apart from Krishna. That's the other reason envy is manifesting like that. So, in other words, actually, this is a description by Bhaktivinoda Thakur that all sufferings in the material world, in the material conception of life, are coming from envy. So, some of the components of the envy he describes is people have the ignorance, and people have a desire to do sinful activity. People actually do sinful activity, and in fact desire to do pious activities, and pious activities itself, they are also encompassing envy. Because pious activities are what are we doing pious activities for? I want to enjoy, not I want to serve Krishna. So that's why these are also different components of envy that is leading to envy basically. Now, one of the ways it usually manifests for many of us is when we compare with others, the envy. So he has something better, so then I want that. Like that. That's how comparison leads towards envy and expression of envy also later on. So next is envy is the opposite of love that we are trying to cultivate. Krishna Prema that we cultivate. It's the opposite of it. Because envy means I want something for myself. Love means I want to give something to you. So it's opposite in that sense. So even we discussed how I think we can mention sarcastic comments. Usually they seem like joking attitude. They seem naive like that. Sarcasm is born out of envy only. So we're not expressing it in a pure negative way, but we're expressing in some sarcastic way like that. So that is about what is envy briefly. I want to touch on it. Now, why do we need to work on it? Why is it bad for us? That's what we can discuss next. So, fortunately, there is so much written on it, and there's so many classes on it also. So we'll cover only few aspects of it today. So, why envy is not good for us? First of all, remember from Rupa Goswami, Sri Shravananda ki jai, Nitya Sundar ki jai, Jagannath ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, from Rupa Goswami, we understand but Anila devotion service, bhakti definition, which is Anyabhyashta Shunya, Jnana Karma Dhanavatam, Anukulina, Krishna Anushena, Bhakti Uttama. So, we're doing it bhakti to please Krishna. Anukulya. That is the most important attribute of this bhakti principle. So, that means we are always trying to please Krishna. That's what bhakti is all about. So when I have envy, I want to please myself, not Krishna. So it's directly contradicting with bhakti principle. Number one. Number two, we hear all the rules and regulations we have in bhakti are meant for one purpose. Sometimes it's one purpose, sometimes two purposes, which is same thing. Which is always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. That is the principle of all the rules and regulations that we have. Now, when I have envy in my heart, I cannot remember Krishna because I am remembering other person, number one, and I am remembering what other person has, and I'm thinking about how to get that for myself. My mind is absorbed in me, and how to get something for me, or how to destroy this guy, either me or somebody others, but not Krishna. So that means it's directly opposite to remembering Krishna and never forget Krishna. That's another important. So, another thing we already mentioned, that we are trying to develop love for Krishna. So, to develop love for Krishna, remember one of the loving exchanges is giving and receiving. In simple form, I'm telling you, Nectar of Instruction, text 4, like that, right? So, even Prabhupada writes in that one of the Bhagavatam verses that when you come to Krishna, we bring something for Krishna. That's also loving exchange Krishna directly describes. So, like that. But instead, when the heart is consumed, mind is consumed with envy, then we are not able to exchange love with Krishna. So that's why this is also opposite to Krishna consciousness that we are trying to cultivate. So now, other way is, so in other words, it's a completer of Krishna. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, second verse, first calendar, first chapter, second verse, we hear about how Nirmat Saranam Shatam. So those who are non-envious, they can understand Srimad Bhagavatam like that. So we cannot understand scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam if we have envious quality. So by having non-envious quality, then we can receive the highest dharma, which Srimad Bhagavatam is giving, which is Prema Rasa, like that. So Nirmatsara or non-enviousness is a good quality essential for us to understand scriptures and progress in spiritual life. That's another thing we can learn. Now, if you remember Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I'm speaking this Bhagavad Gita to you because you are a friend and you are non-envious. So that from there also we can see, only when we are non-envious, we can understand Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, we are thinking only in terms of me. So there's no point. We can understand scriptures and apply in our life. So now, many times we hear Chaitanya Mahaprabhu principles summarized in a simple way. Of course, there are lots of teachings he gave, lots of principles he gave. In terms of Vaishnava Dharma, Namaruchi, Vaishnava Seva, and Jiva Daya. Many times we hear in Chaitanya Charitamrita, they describe it. It's summarized like this. So, that is the devotee, what devotee is not supposed to do. These are three main things we know to do. So, we cannot do these things if we have envy in our heart. Why? So, Namaruchi. If we have envy in our heart, we are blaspheming other devotees. We are offending other devotees. So, when I'm offending devotees, how can I chant? How can I develop taste for Namaruchi? That doesn't come. Then Jivadaya. Jivadaya means mercy for others. So if I have envy in my heart, I'm thinking when this guy goes bad, then I'm feeling happy. So if my attitude is like that, how can I give something for them to become happy? So Jivadaya will not be there. Namaruchi, Jivadaya. And Vaishnava Seva. So Vaishnava Seva also, when I'm in this attitude of, oh, even it's, envy can come in religious life also, Prabhupada is writing in purport. So if somebody is advanced, then I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm actually more advanced, but somebody didn't recognize me yet. So this guy has this fault. Is recognized as advanced like that. When I'm thinking like that, how can I serve Vaishnavas? I can serve Vaishnavas when I have some appreciation for them. When I want to help them, when I want to benefit from their association. That's when I serve Vaishnavas. So otherwise, Vaishnava Seva also is not there. So it's against, again, Vaishnava Dharma itself, like that, envy. So then, next one is, next one is called Trinadapi Sunichana. Remember, one of the main things for chanting the holy name is that we need to be situated in the mood of Trinadapi Sunichana, which is being humble, then a bladder of glass, tolerant like a tree, and then not expecting respect from others and giving respect to others. So I cannot follow these if I have envy in our heart, in my heart. So I cannot be humbler because when I'm envious of others, I'm thinking actually I deserve more than that guy, but he got that. That means I want to be proud. So that means, and when I'm always looking for more for me, I'm in the bodily conception, then I'm actually situating myself as proud, which is opposite to humility. That is tolerant than a tree. So remember, we talked about how attachment, lust, greed, illusion, finally it leads to envy. So that means envy has all these components. We talked about lust, anger, and everything. So if I'm easily agitated to become angry at others, then where is the question of tolerance? Can I tolerate? No, I will easily become angry. So that means Trinadapi Sunichana, Tarorapi Saishana also I cannot follow. Tolerant than a tree. So then Amanina, Manadena. Amanina. Not expecting respect from anyone. If I'm thinking actually I deserve better than these other guys because of the nature of envy, how can I not expect respect from others? I want everything for myself. That is bodily conception. So then Amanina also I cannot follow. Then Manadena. So I'm thinking about destroying others because of envy. Then how can I think about benefiting them? How can I think about respecting them? So I cannot follow that also. If I cannot follow this, then my spiritual life progress itself is gone because I cannot chant the holy name properly. So many drawbacks of envy like this we can see. So now, another thing is, and if we, all the 10 offenses also, in one sense, all the 10 offenses to holy name, underlying thread for them is respect. So if we are disrespecting scriptures, devotees, bhakti, so disrespect is a common thread inside the 10 offenses. So if I'm envious, then I'll be disrespectful to all these entities. Then I'll be prone to making offenses also. Then I cannot chant well. So next one is Bhagavad Gita 12.13-14 verse. So remember today's Gita Jayanti, so I thought I'll refer to this Bhagavad Gita verse also. We'll briefly look through it. Is motivation, inspiration verse also for us. 12, 13, 14. Okay. So he's saying Adveshta sarva bhutana maitra karuna evacha nirmamo nirankaraha samadukka sukha kshami santushta satatam yogi yatatma drida nischaya mayarpita manobuddhi yomad bhakta same priyaha. So Adveshta sarva bhutanam, non-envious. Adveshta means non-envious. Prabhupada is translating word. So this is very important because Krishna is saying who are very dear to him. So he's giving all the qualities of people who are dear to him. So first thing he mentions is Adveshta. One who is, translation I'm reading, one who is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities. And then who does not think himself a proprietor. Okay, this is corrected to today's purport also purposes. Who doesn't think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego and is who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied. Wow, so many elements connected to non-waste quality actually. Self-controlled and engaged in devotional service with determination. His mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. If you analyze this verse in a simple way, so he's describing quality of non-enviousness first, and then he's describing that we should not think of ourselves as a proprietor, and then is describing different qualities of being tolerant, satisfied, self-controlled, like that. That is one category, developing some qualities. Second category is engaging in devotional service with determination. If you notice, Krishna didn't say, you just do devotional service to me, you're very dear to me. He's saying, develop these qualities, engage in devotional service with determination, and then your mind and intelligence fixed on me. There are three main categories you can see in this verse. So remember, when I'm envious, I'm thinking about always how to cause harm to others. Why did this guy has so much more than me? My mind is absorbed on me. And my intelligence is thinking, how can I get more than him? So my intelligence is towards Krishna, and my intelligence towards others and other things that I want. Obviously, it is different. It's not towards Krishna. So in different categories, we can see that how envy quality is damaging for our spiritual progress. So that is a other point we would make. And then, and then two other things I wanted to mention. One is that Krishna likes having good qualities. That's what we see from this verse and many other verses also. Actually, this whole set of verses in this chapter, Krishna says, I like him, I like him, I like him. You're very dear to me, they're very dear to me, like that. That is one thing we know. That means we develop good qualities, not because it's good for me, so I'll get more money or I'll get more recognition, become famous, not like that. We're getting good qualities to please Krishna. Because bhakti, one of the principles of bhakti is Anukulyena Krishna Anusandam, like we talked about, right? So to please Krishna. So when I have good qualities, Krishna is very pleased. So that is the reason we need to, that is the motivation behind why we want to get rid of any quality, bad qualities. Otherwise, becoming non-envious or getting rid of enemy can become a material activity also. If the Krishna factor is not there in our endeavor for working on this quality. So that means pleasing Krishna should be our motivation factor to develop non-enviousness or to work on envy, like that. So now then another aspect is, in the spiritual world, there is no envy. In fact, the Srimad third canto describes the spiritual Vaikuntha description is given. In that section, two prominent examples are given. One is about in the plants category, one is in the birds category. So plants category, there are so many beautiful fragrant flower plants in the spiritual world Vaikuntha. So many different flower plants names are given. So they're looking so beautiful and they give nice fragrance also. So all of those flower plants encourage Tulsi Devi, Tulsi plant, to worship Krishna. Why? Because they understand Krishna likes Tulsi and Tulsi has devotion. So that means they don't have envy. They don't think, oh, look, I'm actually more colorful flower and I give more fragrance. Tulsi plant doesn't give so much fragrance. You're not looking so beautiful. No, they want to encourage the service of others, like that. That's one description of Vaikuntha spiritual world. And this description was a bumblebee. So we know Kokila bird, there are different bird parrots. They sing nicely. They make voices nicely, right? So now they all give the way for bumblebee who makes a buzzing sound, like that sound, in an attempt to glorify Krishna. But because the bumblebee is trying to glorify Krishna in the mode of devotion, they all encourage bumblebee by they all be quiet. They don't say, I can actually do better service than you by singing nicely, so you be quiet. They're not doing that. So that is a beautiful quality of non-enviousness in the spiritual world. So the another motivation is, if you want to go back to spiritual world, we need to develop this non-envious quality so that we can belong there. Otherwise, we'll be out of place. So we cannot get there. That's another reason for why we should develop non-enviousness quality. Now, is described non-enviousness level quality is at a different levels. I'll try to look at my notes. I hope I remember that. Okay. So I didn't write it, but I remember. Let me try to remember. Non-envious quality can be at different levels. One is I simply don't desire anything bad for others. That is one level. Second level is I want to wish well for them. So I'm always evaluation for them, like that. And third and highest level is like Uttamadikari devotees, Mahabharata devotees. They always see how everybody can be connected to Krishna and how they can achieve eternal happiness and bliss in service to Krishna. So that is the highest level of non-enviousness. So that's another thing. So we talked about what is envy, how does it manifest different ways, and we talked about how envy is not good for this, how we need to work on it to developing non-enviousness quality. I'll mention one more thing on this. I remember that actually envy is considered self-envy, even though we are envious of others, is considered self-envy because by being envious of others, we are hurting ourselves actually. Because when you're thinking, like we discussed, right? When I'm thinking about others, how to hurt others, I'm not thinking about my spiritual progress. I'm not working on my spiritual progress. And I'm not working on what I have right now with me. So that's why it's actually more damaging to me than others by being envious. That's the other main point I want to share. So now going to the cure for envy. What do we do about it? Now that we know we have envy, actually, all of us, believe it or not, the symbol that we are in material world with this material body implies that we all have some level of envy, all of us. So it's not that I'm almost free of envy. I have a little bit like that. No, all of us have different degrees of envy that we can accept and understand. So, by the way, to work on anything, one of the first things we need to develop is recognition. So that's why we are discussing what is envy, how does it look like? Because unless we recognize that we have something that we want to work on, we cannot work on it. So that's why recognition of problem is half the problem solved. People say 50% of the problem is solved when recognize problem. If I'm proud of myself, I think I'm like almost like pure duty. Little bit things is missing, that's all. Then I don't work on anything, right? That's called pure devotee syndrome. We all go through in devotional life. So then, so then we don't work on anything. That's why it's important to recognize it. But how do we recognize these things? When we contemplate what is the consciousness behind our activities, what we're doing, number one. Number two, when we hear to sadhus and shastra, like here is describing, when we hear pastimes from Supreme Lord, like Lord Rama's pastimes, or Krishna's pastimes, Supreme Lord's pastimes, when we're hearing from sadhus and shastra, then we realize, oh, see, that is how non-envious looks like. Then we understand, oh, see, that is how envy looks like. For example, the pastimes in Srimad Bhagavatam, like Chitraketu pastime, many of you might know. Chitraketu was a king I'll briefly mention it, was a king with so many wives he had because he didn't have children. As a king, he wants to have a heir so he can turn over the kingdom to them. But he didn't have a heir. So he started to marry one woman, like that. Crores of women are being married. Finally, it's described. So still he did not have a child. Finally, by the mercy of Angira Muni, they did a sacrifice and he got a child for one of the wives. First wives, if I remember correctly. Kritaditya, I think her name. So one of the wives got the child finally. Now all the other queens become envious of this wife. Why? Because king did not have children for a long time. So finally he got a son. So naturally he spends time with the son. Because spending time with son, that mother of the son happens to be near the sun. So he spends more time with the first queen also. So now all the other queens did not like that. They felt that I'm not attended to. They felt the need for attention and they felt that attention is not given to them. So because of that, they understood the root cause of this is because that child is there. That is why he's going to the child. That's why he's not coming to us. They analyzed properly only. But the problem is that they didn't think how to get more attention to me. What do I deserve? How do I deserve? They didn't think in that angle. They just thought, if I get rid of that child, then he will come to me only. So now they gave poison to that child and then they killed also, since they gave the son. So he can imagine the king's distress. For so many years he has been wanting a son. Finally he got some son. For not only for his benefit, for the kingdom to go properly. So then, because of the envious nature, they killed this son like that. So that's one pastime. Like that, we can see Srimad Bhagavatam to understand how envy looks like. Then we understand, oh, see, when envy is there, they cannot even discriminate their actions. They're going to such an extent that damaging somebody else also. They're not thinking straight, basically. Envy, that envy quality, we cannot think properly. And the example is Daksha. Daksha was envious in the fourth canto, I believe. Fourth canto? Yeah. Daksha is envious of Lord Shiva, his own son-in-law. So, that's seen in a simple, short way. When Daksha enters the assembly, where everyone was assembled to do a sacrifice, then Lord Shiva does not get up to offer respect. In Vedic culture, we offer respect to elders by offering obeisances, or at least paying like this, or at least recognizing that they came by standing up from the seat and giving them seat, and all that will follow later on. So, if Lord Shiva did not do that, but Daksha was thinking, remember Amanina Manadana explained, it's opposite to that. I should be respected. I'm father-in-law, so you should pay obeisance to me. He didn't get up. I'm actually great because I'm doing so many sacrifices and performing religious activities. Lord Shiva just roams in the crematory ground with he has ashes all around like that. He thinks that way. He thinks he's basically superior to others. So that's because of the envy. But actually, in actuality, what happened is Lord Shiva was in meditation of Supreme Lord. So that's why he didn't pay attention that Daksha entered assembly. Otherwise, he would have paid respect to do it. But in fact, Lord Shiva is superior to Daksha. Though in this relationship with his father-in-law, father-in-law, son-in-law, Lord Shiva is superior Vaishnava, superior devotee also, compared to Daksha. But still, he did not know that, he did not see that. So that's another point of envy. When we are envious, we don't assume the good in others. We cannot see good quality in others. We assume the bad intentions. So he assumed that Lord Shiva did not want to respect him. That's why he did not get up. That's another bad thing about it. Now the cure we discussed so far, that we need to be open to hearing from sadhus, scriptures. We regularly hear the pastimes of Supreme Lord from Srimad Bhagavatam, scriptures like this, or Bhagavad Gita, principles of devotional service. Then we feel inspired to develop good qualities and inspired not to continue with bad qualities. So that is one important thing. Second thing is, we need to cultivate the quality of humility. When we cultivate the quality of humility, then we're open to hearing other persons guiding us, telling us, oh, you have enviousness, you need to work on it. If I don't have humility, even if somebody mercifully tells me, I don't accept it. I say, no, that situation was like this. That's why I was looking like envious. But actually, the devotee did this, he deserves it. So we'll come up with our own explanation basically. But if I have humility, I'll recognize that other person is telling me for my benefit. And I need to at least contemplate, is it really true? How much it is true? At least I'll go to that extent. Otherwise, I'll reject at the first stage itself. I'm not like that. That means humility is important for us to cultivate in order to recognize and accept advice from others and spiritual master like that. So next thing is, Actually, I was reading to a transcription from Radhanath Swami Maharaj. He gave a lecture long time ago, several years ago. It was a wonderful lecture also. He basically compares. Remember, if you are Krishna conscious, then all these bad qualities will not be there. So that means if you're Krishna conscious means how will we trying to become Krishna conscious? By doing the chanting of the holy name, by hearing Shravanam Kirtanam, by hearing scriptures, by hearing from spiritual master, and following the instructions given by spiritual master. So in one sense, whole Krishna consciousness can be summarized as chanting and hearing in one sense, or chanting and hearing from spiritual master, hearing from spiritual master instructions like that. So if you expand that, basically all we need to do is chant the holy name. In order to chant with the right conception and right understanding and right faith, we hear from the spiritual master and scriptural instructions, and we develop the inspiration to chant, and we do the proper mode of chanting, and through spiritual master instructions, we actually follow in our life. How to live our life is coming from spiritual master. How to live our life, how to chant properly, how to avoid offenses, these are all coming from spiritual master. We follow them. If you do this, envy will go away out of the window. Because spiritual master is telling us, be humble, don't offend devotees, serve Vaishnavas. What are these all doing? They are developing non-business quality also. That is one important thing for this overall framework. Now, this another way Radhanath Swami Maharaj describes this overall framework towards the end of the class also is the analogy of the plant growing up. That is there in Chaitanya Charitamrita also. So when a seed is, the analogy goes like this. You have a ground, you normally till the ground, so the ground is proper. First of all, proper place is selected for the plant to grow. And then till the ground so it makes it fertile. And then put a seed. And then regularly water the seed. And then plant will grow. While plants are growing, weeds will come around it. So take out the weeds. Anyone who has done gardening knows. Weeds will grow faster than the regular plant. So take out the weeds so that they don't sap away all the energy of that needs to go to real plant. And then keep watering. But take out the weeds also. And keep the land fertile, suitable for growing. Then Bhakti Rita will grow like that. So now, how do this analogy works with Bhakti is, Guru is planting the seed of Bhakti. So there's another detailed answer for this also, but we'll not go there. Guru plants the seed of Bhakti. And then the watering process is Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing and chanting. So by hearing and chanting the holy name and pastimes of the Supreme Lord, or qualities, or form, nature of the Supreme Lord, then the Bhakti Lata will grow, watering. But remember how when a plant grows, weeds also grow around it. Similarly, bad qualities also grow along with Bhakti. In fact, there are some things come with the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes in Madhurya Kadamini that even with Bhakti, Lava Puja Pratishtha can come also. That we want more Lava, more Puja, more Pratishtha because by doing Bhakti like that. So we need to be watchful of those weeds also. So like that, so basically those weeds we need to remove also apart from watering. In one sense, when we hear the verse that by hearing the pastimes of Lord Rama, we can become non-envious and we can become perfected in life. That is the essential statement. So while hearing the pastimes, we need to be observant. We should not be attached to the envy. Let us say I am attached to the envy. Then I am hearing pastimes so many times. Doesn't matter. Nothing, it will not loosen my attachment. Remember an example, this is commonly quoted in the beginning classes of Prabhupada also, that so one guru and one disciple are there, and one disciple is holding onto a tree and say, Guru Maharaj, please relieve me from this tree. Please relieve me from this tree. So he needs to let go of the tree. Then he can get free from there. So similarly, if you hold on to our attachments, even though Guru is giving so many instructions, we cannot get free from them. So what I'm trying to say is it's not a mechanical process. So the point is, I hear and we goes away. It's not a mechanical process. It involves some investment of our consciousness from outside. some endeavor on our side that will please Krishna, and Krishna will give us mercy. Through that, then we will go away. So that is what is going here. So we should not be attached. So how we develop loosen attachment? By following the instructions that we're hearing while reading Srimad Bhagavatam, while hearing from speech master like that. So that is another point to note. So now, in this analogy, taking out weeds is compared to taking out the bad qualities. And the soil where the seed is planted, it should be, if the soil is nice, then the seed will grow quickly. Otherwise, we'll give so much water, seed will not grow unless soil is still, land is made softer for the seed to grow nicely, right? Similarly, as devotees, when we develop good qualities like non-enviousness, humility, all these qualities, is like developing the soil nicely, so the Krishna conscious process will flourish, help us grow our bhakti. So that is why this is important, developing qualities like that. So basically, by reading scriptures, by chanting the holy name, our heart can get purified, and we follow the instructions of spiritual master. So we conduct our life in such a way that it's in accordance with Krishna, relation with Krishna and Krishna consciousness. So that way, then all the bad qualities will go away. That is the point, overall essence point here. Now, some details around this, how this can happen. So remember I told you some endeavor we need to make ourselves also to develop qualities. So when we reading scriptures, hearing from speech master, we need to understand some spiritual conceptions so that we can get rid of material conceptions. So this envy is coming because I'm thinking I'm this body. So yeah, so these qualities are coming, the envy qualities coming, springing from the material conception of life. That I'm thinking I'm the body, and everything related to body is mine. So that's why we're placing value in the material position. So meaning, if somebody has more wealth than me, somebody has better car than me, somebody has better home than me, then I become envious. I want to do something. I will get that, and for him to not have it. One of those two ways it comes out. We said discussed, right? So this is the material conception. That means I'm placing value in material things more. But if I develop focus in spiritual life, my service to Krishna and my connection with Krishna is the most important thing in my life. When I develop that focus and that ultimate goal is fixed in my mind and my intelligence, then what I'll do, I'll place very little importance on somebody having better than me material things. Like that, right? So that's how we focus, improve our spiritual focus, and increase our value in our connection with Krishna, in our service to Krishna. That way, we can minimize the value of these things. So they will not bother us. Sometimes we get something more, sometimes we get something less. We don't bother so much. As long as that's not affecting our service to Krishna, as long as that's not affecting our connection to Krishna. Like that. That's why we do take care of our material things. We do our job, so we get enough money, so we can practice Krishna consciousness peacefully. If you don't have job, I'm always thinking about how to get money for food, how to get food. Then I cannot be peacefully practicing Krishna consciousness. So that much is required. But we don't play higher value for material things. We place higher value for spiritual connection with Krishna and service to Krishna, like that. That's another thing to note. So that means we value ultimate position is Krishna. Our ultimate position is Krishna, not something like that. So now another thing is we understand that I have something because Krishna gave us. Actually, connecting back to Radhanath Swami Maharaj's lecture, he is talking about understanding the conception of the 5.29 verse. Bhoktaram Ignatapasanam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhudam Sarvabhutana Natamam Shanti Vichati. The verse says peace formula, it's called. That means if you understand that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, Krishna is the supreme controller, and enjoyer means proprietor also, right? Supreme controller, and he's the well-wisher of all living entities, Suhudam Sarvabhutana. When we understand this, then we can be peaceful. And this can lead to satisfaction also. So when we understand, operate in these principles, properly in a spiritual way, then we are not thinking that I want to be proprietor, I want to be enjoyer, I want to be the friend of everybody, not him, not Krishna. That enviousness will not come. So Radha Samrita was explaining nicely. So proprietor, how this Krishna proprietor comes into play, that means, let us say I'm considering, oh, I have a best phone. Then I'm considering I'm greater compared to others, for example. So that means I'm not considering that Krishna gave me the best phone. So I'm ignoring the Krishna factor in it. That is why I'm becoming proud. And similarly, when somebody has a better phone, I'm becoming envious of it. Because I'm not seeing Krishna has sanctioned it for him. Krishna gave that mercy to him. This is a phone example, but it can be applied to anything else in life. So that is Krishna is the proprietor, Krishna is the controller, Krishna is giving everything to everybody. When I see that, then I will not feel proud of what I have. Because I understand it all belongs to Krishna. It is engaged in Krishna service. Whether I engage it in Krishna service or he engages in Krishna service, ultimately is pleasing to Krishna. So I'll be happy. So that conception is important for us. And this conception will easily develop when we are chanting the holy name parallelly also. So while chanting the holy name and hearing, that's why it's like a two-track method for us. Chanting the holy name is purifying the heart, so we can easily accept the instructions, we can easily apply the instructions, understand the instructions first of all also. That also comes through chanting. Then parallelly we are hearing from spiritual master instructions from scriptures, so we can apply them and conduct our life nicely in alignment with Krishna like that. So that's how the verse applies. Another aspect of Radha Samrata explaining is the last aspect of well-wisher of living entities. So when Krishna is the well-wisher of all living entities means I am not the well-wisher of all living entities. That means I don't have so much capacity first of all. Second of all, my giving helps to somebody in a mode of goodness level or passion level or ignorance, material modes, is only helping them to surface level. Even if I'm helping, let us say, with my ideas, with some money, with some food, who's giving me that ideas, intelligence? Who's giving me that food? Who's giving me money? All is coming because of Krishna's mercy. So when I'm seeing, oh, see, I am able to help this person. That means I'm ignoring the Krishna factor there. But what is the right conception? I need to see myself as an instrument to Krishna. Not that I should not help anybody. That's not the teaching. Teaching is I am helping others, but with the mood that because Krishna gave me this, I'm able to help. If Krishna didn't give me this, I will not be able to help. So tomorrow Krishna can take away this, then I cannot help anybody. That means Krishna is the ultimate well-wisher, ultimate friend. Krishna is the real doer. I am not the real doer. That conception we can cultivate. So this is the endeavor part for our side. Understanding instructions from spiritual master, understanding scriptures, and applying our life. That's how we can cultivate, make our endeavor. Then Krishna will be pleased and Krishna will give mercy so that we can do a lot for him as an instrument. Normally, if I think I'm the doer, I can do some for others. But when I still remember Krishna's connection and do some help to others, then Krishna will give me more. He will increase my capacity to do more like that. So that's how we can be situated in a non-envious attitude. That's the other point. So now, and when we are satisfied, satisfaction is another principle that helps us in becoming non-envious. So how does satisfaction help? Because when my satisfaction lies in the spiritual conception, satisfaction lies in my connection to Krishna, my service to Krishna, then, and when I'm developing some taste in Krishna consciousness, and when I'm relishing some taste in Krishna consciousness, then I don't go for ordinary taste, possessing something material like that, some recognition. I don't go for those things. That means my absorption should increase in the spiritual. When I cultivate that, then my mind will not be absorbed in material like that. So that's another principle. But how do we do this? Again, through the practice of bhakti only. By chanting sincerely, seriously, attentively, as best as we can every day, and by hearing and applying the instructions of the spiritual master, then we can be absorbed in Krishna. The more we hear, the more we can observe our mind in Krishna. The more we chant, the mind is focused towards Krishna. So by doing Shravanam Kirtanam more and more, we can observe our mind in Krishna. When our mind is observed in Krishna, obviously there's no space for material things like that. That's another way. So basically, we need to recognize that we don't have enough spiritual taste. So we need to cultivate that taste. And another way to describe it in second canto is described by doing Tivra Bhakti. That's how we get the spiritual taste. And everything will go away. Even if I'm desiring some big bungalow, big car, whatever it is, all that will go away if I do Tivra Bhakti. How do we do Tivra Bhakti? In simple way, by increasing the quantity of devotional service, by increasing the quality of devotional service to please Krishna. So in simple way, this can be done by spending more time in direct devotional activity or serving Vaishnavas, serving the temples like that. That is one way to increase quantity. And then also, when it's the quality means, why am I doing this? Am I doing it so that others can appreciate me? Or am I doing it to please Krishna? How can I start to shift from doing it for my pleasure to doing it to please Krishna? Those questions we ask and improve the quality of our services. That's how we can do Tivra Bhakti. Another way is described of doing Tivra Bhakti is taking some risks for Krishna. I mean, not always staying in comfort zone, going beyond comfort zone a little bit. Not so far that we can break ourselves, not like that, but a little bit beyond the comfort zone. When we take some risk for Krishna, then we can see how Krishna reciprocates and Krishna offers us special mercy. Then we can say, wow, Krishna is there. Krishna is helping me. We'll get that consciousness also. We'll get that connection to become stronger also. So that's another way to develop taste and satisfaction. So we don't hanker for other material things so that we can become non-envious. Now, another aspect is in material world, people are becoming envious. We are becoming envious because most of the material resources are limited. Like in my office, there's only one director position in my group. There are not 5 directors in my group. Director maybe there is a group like that. So now, if I want to become director, I need to be better than this guy, that guy, this guy. So there are limited resources in middle world. Or another example, devotees give, Gauranga Darshan Prabhu gives, is like in metro, local trains in Bombay, there's only limited number of seats. So people fight to get the seat. So the basic principle is limited resources are there. That's why everybody is fighting that I should be the one above, not everybody else, like that. So that's one. Now in the spiritual world, that is not the case. Or in relation to Krishna, that is not the case. The point I'm trying to make is about devotees. How we see when somebody grows in spiritually more, how do we take it in a non-envious way? So with relation to Krishna, each of us can have relation with Krishna. Because Krishna is unlimited, he can give so much mercy to you and so much mercy to me also. Just because he gives more mercy to you, the resource is not limited with Krishna, that I will get less. All of us can get more. So when we understand this principle, that Krishna is for everyone, all of us, and Bhakti can empower each of us to do lots of service, lots of mercy, lots of sukriti, everything we can get from Bhakti. There's no limitation. Then we don't become envious. He becomes advanced. So what? I can also become advanced. Number one. Number two, if he becomes advanced, I take inspiration from him. Then I can also grow. And if I serve him, I can grow. And if I take association from him, I can grow. We can see it in positive light when somebody is growing in spiritual life computers. Not that if he's growing, that I cannot grow. No, that's not true. Actually, when I'm thinking about him, I'm not focusing on my devotional service. I'm not growing. But instead, I need to focus on what all Krishna gave me. So, Vaishnav Prabhu tells this principle that we can achieve a lot of things if we do whatever we can do right now with what we have. But instead, if you're lamenting on what I cannot do, we cannot do even whatever I can do also with my capacity. So that's a very important principle. If with whatever I have, whatever attention I have, I chant attentively. Whatever energy of body I have, I can do that much service. Some of the devotee can do 10 hours of service every day. But I can do 2 hours at the current body situation. But I can aspire to do more. Then Krishna is pleased. Remember in Ramayana also we hear the pastime about Hanuman and the squirrel pastime also. So Lord Rama is happy that Hanuman is carrying big boulders. Lord Rama is also happy that squirrel is getting grains of sand. Because he's doing according to his capacity. So according to our capacity, we fully engage. That is a perfection for us, not the quantity of service. So that doesn't mean that we don't do any service, we just stagnate there. We do best of our capacity. We do our services like that. So when we recognize that spiritual life is not limited by the resources, then we can be non-envious. That's the principle we can learn from here. And then we talked about how qualities need work, is not just falling out of the sky. So like when we hear this verse, just by hearing past tense will get purified. We need to put our endeavor also. We need to put, first of all, we need to not have attached to the envy quality, and then we need to make some endeavor, understand it, apply in our life like that, right? That's another thing. Next thing is when we see somebody has something, I don't have something, I'm suffering from this situation like this. We always focus on changing situation, problem solving mode. How to change this, how to improve this, how to improve this. When we try to increase our pleasure and reduce our suffering, that is a formula for material life. Then, when we're only doing that without connection to Krishna, how is it affecting my service to Krishna? Then we'll be in endless loop, never come out of that loop, never be happy, never be satisfied, and we'll be envious of it. But we should come to the, instead of focusing on how to change the situation, how to change the situation so that I can go back to spiritual world. So the example is given that if I'm suffering a problem here, let us say I'm in a big ocean, I have a problem in one side of the ocean. I go to the other side of the ocean, same problems will come in ocean because water is same in everywhere. Similarly, material world problems will come in different flavors in different places. So we need to focus on going back to spiritual world. When you focus on the ultimate focus, then we don't pay attention to these material things like that. And yeah, so the last thing is by cultivating these qualities of humility, by understanding the instruction of spiritual master, by hearing the pastimes of Supreme Lord, and by chanting the holy name nicely, we can overcome the bad qualities, not only envy, but so many other bad qualities also we can overcome. And ultimately, we are doing all this to please Krishna. That we should not forget. And it's a practice for me and for all of us to cultivate that consciousness of pleasing Krishna. But we can practice to whatever level we are and grow every day to improve our consciousness to please Krishna. So that is the topic. I'll invite all of you to share something what you like or anything that you heard in the past that you like. There's so many more things Gauranga Prabhu told in his class also, but I couldn't cover all of them. Yeah, but let us see if you have any comments, anything else you heard from other classes, your own realizations, please share it. No, sure. Even devotees on the phone also can share. This is not the one, right? Yeah. I cannot find it. Anybody has anything to share?
I really liked your class. So many aspects you mentioned about right from the beginning about what is envy and how does it arise and what are the different ways that you can tackle envy. The best thing that I liked was you mentioned that it is essentially a consciousness is what is actually the cause, and you finally touched that the root cause of all our problems is I, me, and mine. Essentially, the false ego factor is what is actually the root cause for all of the problems, and only way that you can tackle that is how much we can be immersed in bhakti is what will actually help us to come out of that conception. And I also really like the example that you mentioned about Chitraketu Maharaj. It's a very subtle thing that example is about how the wives were actually becoming envious of the principal queen. It's a very subtle thing is that the wives became envious because they were neglected. It's a very difficult thing as practicing devotees to avoid neglection of other devotees that can cause enviousness in that particular devotee. Still learning. So neglect also can cause envy. It's very dangerous. Yeah, one reflection I had from you is I once in one of the Bhagavatam classes, one devotee was asking, "How do I know like if the other person is envious or not?" Um, and the answer that was given by the speaker was that the fact that you're thinking that other is having envy, that means you're having envious everything. So the world is mirror of your consciousness, is what was given. So I think we should forget about what others are having and focus on ourselves. Thank you so much for so much you spoke. I hope I can remember some more.
Yes.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome, Hare Krishna. Nice. Yeah. Actually, one of the things I wish to mention is we all get these bouts of envy occasionally. So what we need to do is not to express them. That's the first step. At least, then we need to at least control instead of expressing it by harsh words or some damaging action. We should cultivate that at least first level, and then consciousness level shifts also parallelly. Any comments or questions? Yes, sir.
This class is like the big bag of takeaways. I could only remember few from the excellent class that you did. You covered in the very beginning the importance of why not being envious, because we want to remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. This is very, very nice principle to take away from it. And the prerequisite that we emphasized, Bhagavatam, that Nirmat Sarana, and we also said Arjuna, there it was mentioned, you don't be Amala, something like that.
Advaita is Krishna is dear to him. That's what you're talking about. Yeah. I don't remember the word.
He explains one, like fourth chapter, seventh chapter. You will understand. I'm explaining this to you because you are
Correct.
that I really like. So this is a prerequisite.
Yes.
This is a prerequisite for to understand even Krishna.
Mm.
And you very well connected. How do we contradict often by being envious? We want to achieve something in life. We want to get close to Krishna. And again, we were trying to hurt ourselves by hurting the devotees. Because and again, we connected the 10, among the 10 offenses. The first one is blaspheming the devotees is the first offense.
Yeah.
Envious is the first level of blasphemy. So that, thank you so much for connecting that also. And you explain, different, from one Prabhu's LinkedIn article, that also helped. Where enviousness has some phases. Before that, there is Asuya, and before that, something else. That really helps actually. All these factors that you connected with the Shastras makes me constantly contemplate on what I've done in the past. When you were explaining, it is opening up all the things I have done in the past. And so many things, even Gaurav Darshan Prabhu's classes, you are sharing, those are very valuable. Now, but one point that today's class I thought was just trying to share. Even in the spiritual life, also we will have some symptoms of enviousness, including sannyasi. I came long back before him.
Oh, okay.
How come this person is more, doing more archana than me? How come he is able to get hold of higher services directly touching the Lord, but I am still cooking? Like that, organization over explaining. Those actually were eye-opening for me.
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
And one thing was, so all qualities of devotees are tested when he interacts with devotees and serves devotees. Unless he tries to serve, there is no question of test there. So we need to first expose ourselves to and attempt our weaknesses only by trying to serve. Once they are exposed, we will try to eradicate. So we have to attempt. We cannot sit idle and think that things are going to automatically resolve if I just chant. That's what is a takeaway from today's class from this.
Thank you for sharing that. That's nice. Yeah, that is underscoring the importance of associating with devotees, so we can know what is our real position, where we are. Like that is important, and also that's why we need to appreciate devotee association. So many problems come when you interact, because each of us has a different mentality, different conceptions, right? But still, the problem also we appreciate. That means that's teaching me something. So that's a nice thing. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Yeah.
I very liked your example of how when the tree is growing, the weeds and especially the creeper is like trying to like grow and trying to like undermine the devotional service that is happening. Because when we are doing our devotional service, we sometimes think like, oh, we are doing this much and others are not, and like pinpoint this kind of stuff.
Very nice point, Chetan. Thank you. Any other comments, questions? You have anything?
Yes, I have one question. We have discussed in the beginning of the class. Very nice class. Would you have some sort of a self checklist? Like sometimes we are envious and we don't realize. I know you mentioned some points, but how would we realize that we're actually envious and we need to correct ourselves? Because oftentimes we see that we tend to rationalize a lot of things. I'm doing it because it is right to do it.
Correct.
So how do what self checklist can we have as a devotee?
Thank you, bro. So what I was telling you is many things toward the class. The class were there. Basically, first thing, whenever we need to recognize something, we need to understand what does that mean. What does it mean? So we're covering how when I'm happy, when others are suffering, that's one symptom in broad way. And I'm not happy when others are happy. If you take these two broad principles, then that shows the enviousness like that from our side. And that one. And then, but to recognize this, we need guidance also and humility. So as we cultivate humility and some guidance, then we're open to, even when I hear class, I think, okay, my wife needs to listen to this, not for me. I'm okay. In this quality, I'm okay. I might have something else. I don't pinpoint what I have bad quality. I might have something else, but in this branch, I'm great. My wife needs to listen it. My son needs to listen it. They need to improve. So we need to. That's why we call it submissive hearing. Submissive hearing means when you're hearing, you're ready to accept something that I do not know, and you're ready to be open to hearing what the speaker is sharing. So that way we can recognize things actually. But if I'm hearing for others, or hearing with the mentality that I already know, or hearing the mentality that this will not work for me, these are not non-submissive hearing. Then we cannot recognize like that. And then I was saying that when we're hearing and reading scriptures, we can be open for examples. Then also we can recognize like that. Meaning we read and hear in connection with us. What does this mean? How does it apply to me? What can I do about this? When we contemplate like that, practical application, then we recognize also. There's a few things make sense. Okay. Any other comments on the phone? Anything else you want to share? Otherwise we can end here also.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dharvat Pranam, all Krishna Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for beautifully speaking on this very, very important topic. And as you mentioned, it's there in our heart, all of us in our heart, and that's why we're in this material world. I remember one point my spiritual master says that this envy needs to be, like when we feel envy, it needs to be condemned and we need to feel inspiration from that person. Instead of being envy, we should feel inspired from that person. So that's a good way of converting it. I feel that.
Wonderful, Drew. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Actually, yeah, thank you. Yeah, another thing I remember is that one of the antidote, like Harinam Kirtan Prabhu was saying, we need to appreciate. When I feel like criticizing somebody, we need to appreciate. That's the other way to help with envy also. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Dhanavad
Thank you
Pranam.
so much, Prabhuji, for such a good lecture. I really, all the points that you covered were beautiful, Prabhuji. It's very difficult to recollect everything what you said. But yeah, I remember one thing when you said that when you are envious, when you are Krishna conscious and when you are envious, then at least you accept that and you don't react. So that is a big key, Prabhuji, not reacting to the situation that you are under. So this is a big takeaway, Prabhuji, that if you're envious, you accept it and don't react and try to get over with it, obviously by Shravanam Kirtanam, as you mentioned, and chanting the holy name, imbibing the holy name, and trying to listen as much as to the pastimes of our spiritual masters and all. So but Prabhuji, is this, I just had one thing in mind. This envious attitude is not only in the for the materialistic desire, right? Sometimes we have the envious attitude for the spiritual desire also. Like when I say spiritual desire, I'm saying like in our old word, the Krishna conscious word, like some devotees may think that, okay, he's doing more seva, he's getting more exalted, he's reaching more high in the ladder of spiritual world compared to the other one. So how to overcome that? It's not always the material desire.
Yeah,
That he
thank
has a
you.
bigger house, he has a bigger car, that is very subsidiary. But when you are trying to exalt yourself in the spiritual world, how do you succumb that type of envy nature?
Yeah, thank you, Mansi, for a nice question. We were touching on it in the class also, but let me rephrase. Basically, when we recognize that when we are envious of others making spiritual progress like that we were discussing, when we understand that it is not limited, Krishna resources for Krishna are not limited. So meaning if other person devotee is advancing or doing more seva, that doesn't reduce my seva. For example, other devotee is doing so much deity worship, so I cannot get it. That's practical reality, right? If he does deity worship, I cannot get deity worship that time, for example. But I can do some other service also. I don't have to do deity worship only. I can do some other service also in Krishna service. When we see the broadness of devotional service and how many different services we can do, that's one way we can overcome that. Second thing is we can understand that all services Krishna values, whatever we are able to do in the current circumstance. Then also we could not envious. And third aspect that I discussed before is the non-limited nature. Krishna has a way to reciprocate so much mercy. This devotee is doing that service so much, they're getting so much mercy. I do this other service, he will give me more mercy also. So when we understand that Krishna's mercy is not limited, he can reciprocate with each of us, then also that will help Mataji. So I hope that helps.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Sorry, Prabhuji, I joined a little late, so I did not hear that part. I'm sorry.
Makes sense.
You had
No
to repeat again.
No worries, Mati. Yeah, it's a revision for me also. That's good. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Actually, you mentioned one more verse, enviousness, and then connect to
There is a Krishna says, he's very, very dear to me. Non-enviousness quality is there, along with other qualities. Is very dear to me. Yeah. 12th chapter.
So the phase that comes before we get even nice bhakti is getting rid of dual modes. In that verse, Krishna is saying, if you don't have enviousness and consider all of the trans-living entities, then you will come out of the dualities. That's a very subtle point you touched upon.
Okay, nice to thank you. Thank you. It's already 9 o'clock, so we'll end here. Srimad Gautam ki jai, Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.